Nicole, it's been relatively calm as I guess it can be given the circumstances. In the last hour, we have seen two different groupings of flatbed trucks, sort of convoys, small convoys, though, headed into the direction of Gaza with armed personnel carriers on the flatbed part of those trucks. About an hour ago, we heard what sounded like mortars firing into Gaza in our artillery bombardment. We counted at least 8 booms. You can hear periodically the sound of some sort of military aircraft in the air above us, but we haven't seen any in the last couple of hours we've been here. At least we haven't seen any missiles coming from this side of Israel or any coming out of Gaza into the direction of Israel. As we were making our way here tonight, we were stopped at a gas station in southern Israel between the cities of Ashkelon and Ashdod. And there we met an Israeli IDF commander, and he wanted to talk to us. And we stood and talked to him for a little while about just everything that is going on. He said he is from this area. And when I asked him if he knew anyone that had been hurt or killed in those terror attacks that took place on Saturday, he sort of winced and then whispered, yes. He talked about how since then he has been waiting for the call to head to some sort of front lines. He's been told that his unit will likely position on the northern border in the event Hezbollah expands their attacks. But the thing that was so striking, listening to someone who has spent time in the military, who has family, who has spent years. He said his father had spent 13 years in the Army. He knows death, devastation, destruction. You could tell that he was incredibly pained by the hostage situation that is still going on inside of Gaza. He looked at me and he said, 9 days. They have grandparents, they have mothers, they have women, they have children. And he was frustrated that it has taken so long for there to be more of a response to get them out. He was frustrated that it took so long for security forces to show up when those attacks began on Saturday. And then at one point, he looked at me and he said, I'm 32 years old. And he lifted his hands up kind of like handcuffed. And he said, I know me and many other men my age would walk into Gaza right now and say, take us instead. Just let the older people out, let the women out, let the children out. As we're talking about the situation and the need to evacuate people and what's going on with civilians in Palestine, which is in Gaza, the Palestinian people, incredibly difficult situation for them. But there is still so much pain here amongst Israelis for the fact that there are those hostages, somewhere between 100 to 150, still inside of Gaza. And they have been waiting for answers to see some sort of more concentrated effort from people we've spoken to get them out. And they haven't seen it yet. And talking to that man, I was reminded of that pain that they have and the fact that he looked at me saying, I'd walk in right now if we could just get them out. Remember, when we're talking about the people who have gone missing or who have been murdered, they are from over 40 different countries. And based on family information who have spoken out about people who are missing, believed to be abducted, there's one family where they had a 3-year-old child and a 9-month-old baby, and they're believed to have been abducted. So that is a thing to remember as we talk about the importance of people, civilians, being able to get to safety inside of Gaza. Is also the pain still here, the fact that there are still so many young people missing, that even a 32-year-old commander in the IDF, who is no stranger to devastation, no stranger to death, was visibly pained by that and the agony that it's not been 1, 2, 3 days, but almost 9 now. Nicole.
It's so important. It's such an important piece of reporting, and you're such a pro that you absorbed all that in what sounds like sort of a chance encounter. I wonder if you can just expand on what they believe their role may be, if any, in retrieving any of the hostages, or if that is being handled by a different, more sort of secret or covert part of the national security apparatus.
You know, when we've spoken to people, and not just military people, just other civilians too, their initial gut reaction to the hostage situation was get special forces in there, get them out. The IDF had said overnight that they were carrying out some small raids, some covert action, and they said in the overnight hours that they killed a commander within Hamas's military units, who they say was responsible for leading 2 of the attacks that took place on kibbutzes, one where a fourth of the kibbutz's community is believed to have been murdered and or abducted, 100 out of 400 people there. But when we talk to people about what should the response be, most of the people, and this was the case when we were speaking to civilians in Tel Aviv on Monday, they want to see special forces just hit the ground, go in and try and find those hostages. The reality, of course, is that it is probably far more complicated than most people can ever comprehend. But this military commander as well seemed to feel the same, that they want this to move forward, and they want it to move forward quickly because they feel like the biggest priority is trying to retrieve some of the civilians who have been abducted out of Gaza and to get them home alive. Nicole.
NBC's Allison Barber, who has stayed up late for us. Thank you for that extraordinary report. We're really grateful to you for being our eyes and ears there.